Welcome back, everybody, to Tri-County Sasquatch Watch. This is David Davidson Davies Jr.
And this is Donna Rochelle Davies.
Okay, we had to leave early a little bit last time because, my grandma's award-winning cobbler was just, I got to stop doing that. There just always seems to be cobbler going on at our house, don't it?
Ever.
But anyway, we left off with some very important things still to talk about Lynn's later.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to tie a bow on a couple of very important things. I mentioned that there are 3 types of Googling. I was only able to talk about one of them, and that is the Googling that leads to your death. Mm-hmm. Well, the other 2 are very important as well. One of them is informational. And what's happening is the Squatch just wants to know what's going on. And so he Googles your mind to find out what you've been doing, where you're going, and why you're coming.
Sort of like a drive-by.
Sort of like a drive-by. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And a good way... Go ahead.
David Davidson.
Go ahead.
Sort of like when the mailman comes to your house once a day. Mm-hmm. He's just there and gone. There and gone.
There and gone. He doesn't linger. He doesn't linger.
But he's checking the mail.
Yeah, because all it takes is that connection to happen, and he's got it all. He doesn't require the Squatch.
He's reading your mail.
That's what he's doing. He's downloaded all your mail. And so he uses that in his day-to-day life, not only to help him as he does his hunting and does his foraging and all that stuff. Because, Squatches do eat more than us. They eat other things as well.
They do.
But we seem to be, close to where his mind works. And so he has a special interest in us, humans. And so we're easier too.
It's multifaceted.
It's multifaceted.
Really.
We'll get into that more.
Just boil it down to one thing.
But a good example is he just wants to know what your habits are. And so you get an informational Google. Now, the after effects of that reflect the same after effects as if you've survived the other type of Googling. Same stuff goes on in your head. That's why it's very important to never be by yourself. That is, if I can't stress that enough. But the last form of Googling I call, or what Dr. Wolfgang Z. Culverson called, is pod Googling. Okay? Pod Googling is very interesting. And it is a subject that you could spend a whole lot of time in. But let me just give you the basics. Let's say, just think back 200 years ago. Just think that. Just think that 200 years ago, people lived in groups, okay? Unless they're farming, then they got all kinds of stuff, and they got their houses set up. They're far apart from each other. But the Native Americans lived in groups. And there's an energy that happens when you're in a group that Dr. Culverson described as a pod. Each person is close enough in their groupings that when the Squatch connects with one, he gets them all. And he can pull all kinds of information that way. That is how Dr. Culverson was able to know so many things about Squatches in Europe because they all connect. And he survived his Googling. And there was a transference, and that's how he knew so much. We're going to talk a lot about this when he comes to the Americas, that episode, when we get to that, and how he found out about the 17 different species of Squatch in North America, okay? And all of them, to varying degrees, can perform every type of Googling. Death Google, informational Google, and pod Googling. Now, in my research, I've been able to determine only one thing can disrupt the pod. And that's if the household that the pod is in has a cat. It severs the connection, okay? So, I know I keep bringing this up, and Donna Rochelle's correct when she says cats are hard to train. I get it. Get yourself a cat for the house. Get yourself a cat for the outside.
If you're not allergic to it, you can provide a good home for it.
Obviously. That's the most important thing, because we don't want you to treat them as tools, ladies and gentlemen. Just like a horse is more than just a tool to a cowboy, it's his friend.
Well, your cat is your family.
Cat is your
It's
family,
friend.
yeah.
And it's just, we want to tell you that, you know, a lot of times people just overlook qualities in different pets and they think, oh, well, this one is a good family pet, or this one is a horse and it helps us to plow the fields. Well, here's something, you know, that a lot of people don't think about. You know, they think, oh, I'm going to get myself a watchdog. Well, that's lovely. Okay, get yourself a watchdog all day long.
All day long.
But it's not going to help with a squatch.
Nope, it ain't. Cat will. So, back to the pods. So, Squatch will. What are we doing nowadays, ladies and gentlemen? We live in neighborhoods, suburbs. Sometimes those suburbs are pushed far out in the country. There's a very nice road leading to it. And people want to live farther and farther away from the hustle and the bustle of downtown, you know.
They do.
So they get out in the suburbs and they wind up they're the first person to buy a house in this new subdivision, and people are getting in there and they're moving in. That's when the Squatch will come down and he'll go, house with a dog, house with a dog, house with a dog, no cats, no cats. And next thing you know, there's a little neighborhood coalition that's in, maybe even has a homeowners association.
Oh boy, yeah.
And when they're on the same phone call,
oh yeah,
you have just opened yourself up to a pod Googling where only one person is the conduit to everybody else. And unlike the other Googlings, the person who's part of the pod, the initiator, he don't even know what's happening.
no, clueless.
It's the weirdest thing, and I wish I knew the science behind why that is, but obviously it's beyond me. All I know is if that first person had a cat walk in the house, it never would have happened.
It's
crazy.
like a disruptor, you know.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
it's
a good
linked
way.
in. It's
Yeah.
collecting all this information. All of a sudden, what's that term when all the computers just shut off at one time, or your TV
Yeah,
just
power
goes out?
outage or whatever.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what do they call it when all of the computers is connected to each other, and then boom, there's this like a jolt of
Surge.
a surge.
A surge.
It-
It's like a surge. It's like a surge.
There
It
you
shuts
go.
off all the connectivity of everything that's going
yeah,
on.
yeah, and it's like they
And
got to start from scratch again.
What does the squash get from that? What does he get? He knows what time you leave in the morning. He knows when you can set the alarm.
What
He
kind of
knows,
coffee you
Yeah,
like.
what kind of coffee you like. What are you eating? I can't tell you how many times, ladies and gentlemen, we've told y'all, eat crap if you're going to the woods.
Have you ever
But-
not been like somebody who has ever wanted to exercise, and then you get off on one of these like phone calls with all of these different people? What is it called? A Zoom or what?
A Zoom meeting or a
Meeting,
teleconference.
some kind of meeting where
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
all online or whatever, and all of a sudden you're thinking, you know what? I'd like to go out and go for a walk. And you know what? I think I'm just going to go out by myself and just go for a walk.
Well, guess what? The Squatch knows it. And so it's a brand new neighborhood, and they just put in this walk. It's one of the features that they're selling there.
Yeah,
Is
I'm just
it's a
gonna go
nice
explore.
and this little route that goes around the lake happens to go into some woods too. It's so pretty there. They even
Oh,
got a
lovely,
dock, so they're like,
lovely.
"Yeah, come live here." And so
Sure.
you telling everybody on your little phone call, your Zoom meeting, that you're going to go for walks on the weekend, and
No,
if you,
you
want
don't.
to,
That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say. You've never wanted to exercise, and then all of a sudden you just have this desire to go and exercise.
then you go out
It's
there.
a setup.
It's a setup. Then you go out there and you walk in them all by yourself. And next thing you know, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are looking for their loved one because he's gone poof or she's gone poof. And you know what? How many missing people do we know? How many missing persons are there? There are so many, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't risk it, which is why I recommend you have a cat in the house if you can handle it. Okay?
If you
If
can
you
be
can handle
kind
it.
and nice and feed it and love it, then yes.
'Cause it's gonna
I just
wanna
wanted
stay.
you to know that there is a great benefit, to your feline compatriot.
And well, they're their friends too. I mean,
They
ours are like our
friends.
family.
They're like our family.
We have 6 of them, and we just think
And-
they're
but
the
don't
world of
forget
them.
Diggity.
No,
And
Diggity,
he
our
loves
dog.
Cats. Oh,
Diggity,
he, just
he
loves
thinks
his
he's a
cats.
dog. He thinks he's a cat dog. It's
He's
the funniest
the
thing.
best thing ever.
Have you ever seen a dog jump up where he thinks the cat lays
He
down and
acts
tries
like
to?
a
That's
cat.
what he
He
does. And
does.
he's the biggest dog too. Until you think a 45-pound dog jumping on top of a couch. It's crazy.
But that's his family too, and he loves his cats.
He
as
loves
much
his
as we
cats.
do.
Yes, he does. So, I'm glad we were able to talk about that because I wanted everybody to know the 3 different types of the Googling. So, I want to talk a little bit more about the first Google, the Google that leads to your death.
That's
Okay.
scary.
Squatches have learned, and they're way more advanced upside in their head than we are, ladies and gentlemen. I would classify them as being able to use 90 to 99% of their brain. Okay. Now, unlike us, we're not very good at that. Well, they are. Okay. So they've learned through the ages. First, they were just like us. We were out there fishing and everything. That's what they were doing. But then they realized, why do I have to go fish something?
I don't want to pay taxes.
When I can just get that guy to come over here and lay down and I can eat him. I mean, they learned. And the only way you're going to stop it, ladies and gentlemen, is if you go out in more than one person. You have to have 2 people, maybe 3, maybe 4. I can't tell you how many. I know American ruggedism and individualism. You want to be out by yourself. It ain't worth it, ladies and gentlemen, unless, of course, you know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, you better have some friends with you.
But they're instinctual. I don't want David Davis and Davis Jr. to be explaining it to you as though somehow or another that just because they have this portion of their brain that they use more of. That's an animalistic instinct. We talk about being at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have all the facts, people. Okay.
Okay.
We do not have all the facts. And once we started learning about this, we were shocked.
Yeah, we finished reading that book. I've read it 16 times, I think now, 17 times. Once we
Much
finished
more
it,
than
yeah.
that, David.
Well, I've
you
read bits and
started from a
pieces.
child,
Yeah.
Really.
But bits and pieces all the time. I mean, I was just reading chapter 13 just the
Right,
other day,
I know.
yesterday,
And you can
and
pick it
today
up and-
I read
and
chapter 10. I mean,
read
I'm all over the
something
place.
all over again and be like, what? I don't remember reading that before, because I feel like you focus on the things that you're able to really digest and take in at the time. And so sometimes you'll read it thinking, oh yeah, I've already handled that chapter. And then you go back for a refresher course and you're like, my gosh, how did I not see that?
But
this is so important.
You have to apply it to your life, okay? You have to apply it to the way you live your life. Whereas right now, you go, well, I'm going to go on a bear hunt, and so that means I got to get me a big gun. So you go get yourself a big gun. You got a 45 just in case the long rifle doesn't do the trick and it charges. Well, you better have a 45 on your side to make sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't matter if you have both of those. If you get Google and he tells you to lay them down and just walk into the cave,
you'll do it.
You'll just do it.
And you don't have a friend to say, what are you doing, buddy?
What are you doing? Do you remember yesterday or the other day watching the news? Somebody said they found an old Henry's 50 caliber rifle leaning up against a tree in the Colorado Rockies.
No, I don't.
Well, what happened was...
What happened, because I didn't see that.
What happened was a guy was out with his friends,
Yeah.
and they were hiking in the Colorado Rockies.
Okay.
And they just have to be looking around. They're sitting down enjoying themselves, and they saw a Henry rifle. And this is the 1800s, honey. This is top of the line weaponry back then.
Whoa.
Just leaning against a tree, and it apparently had been there for over 100 years. And of course,
So it was all rusted
it
and
was
everything.
rusted. The wood was falling apart, but it was a Henry's 50 caliber rifle. And they said, obviously, a bear got him or something. That's why he left there. He probably set the rifle down, and he went over to do some
fishing.
fishing.
Rest a rifle
But what
down
happened?
and, like the bears
What
coming at
happened?
you, right?
I can guarantee you right now, whoever that was got Googled. And he said, and the squat said, "Why don't you lay that rifle
right.
down
That's
against
how
that
it
tree
happens.
and come over here in the cave, and we'll be fine."
Right,
And what
right.
happened? He's gone. He just disappeared.
That's right. And here's the thing. Just rested it up there.
Yeah.
No tossing it.
No.
That's how you know you've been Googled.
That's how you know you've been Googled. Stuff just don't look right, and that's how you know, ladies and gentlemen. And look, we've reached almost to the end of our time here, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that you can go to Sasquatch in your house, 100%real.com for all this information.
If you have any more questions about Ray Lynn's letter, we will most certainly go back and address different aspects of that letter. Oh, it's time to go.
Yes, it is.
Oh, we have enjoyed it so much.
I'm David Davidson Davies Jr.
Don't get giggled. It's Donna Rochelle Davies.
And we believe.
We believe.